Hello, I'm surgical technology instructor Ray Veen. You might remember me from such training videos as obesity sensitivity and how to drape a leg the Ray way. I'm here today to talk to you about sponge and needle counts, and not just counting them, but counting with integrity. Before we begin, I'd like you to think about your first time counting. Do you remember your first time? How good it felt? How excited you were? Perhaps you even spent some time fantasizing about what it would be like beforehand. And then you started to notice your body changing and hair growing in places you never had hair before. Well, if you're anything like me, over time, those good feelings began to fade. Perhaps the whole experience started to become mundane, monotonous, even tiresome. Well, we're here today to help you get that spark back, to sort of fan the flames, as it were, and teach you to count like you did when you were young and inexperienced. The purpose of this video is not to teach you how to perform a sponge and needle count, but rather to work on some areas of counting which your education council has identified as being trouble areas, places where throughout your career perhaps you've grown lax, or sloppy, or criminal. So let's begin, shall we? I think I hear Henry and Matilda in an OR out there somewhere, and I think they're just about to start a count.
Matilda, darling, I've waited long enough. The time has come for us to count, face to face.
I'm sorry, Henry, but I don't think I can do that.
But Matilda, you must.
Oh, Henry, don't you see? I just can't. Go ahead and count if you want to, but I won't be facing you.
But why, Matilda, why?
I'm sorry, Henry. You're not going to like hearing this very much, but I think I've fallen in love.
In love? What are you saying, Matilda? I need you to face me, now, more than ever before.
Oh, I didn't want to fall in love, Henry. I swear I didn't, but it just happened. And now, my heart cannot be turned aside.
In the name of all that is holy and pure, Matilda, you must tell me, who is this new love?
Oh, it has a name, Henry, and its name is perioperative documentation.
No, Matilda, no! No!
While a deep and abiding love for OR records is completely natural, oftentimes it can come between a circulator and a good count. Other counting distractions include working on the computer, checking in blood, steamy romance novels, and patients in cardiac arrest. A good rule of thumb is to postpone the counts until the tech and the circulator can give it their full, undivided, face-to-face attention. And now it's time to play Spot the Slip. For this next scenario, watch as a real-life scrub performs a pre-procedure surgical count and see if you can spot the slip. Can you spot the things that Clancy's doing wrong? I'll give you a hint. It's not the crazy dancing. As entertaining as it may be, Clancy is making a wide variety of pre-surgical counting errors. Here to provide expert analysis, surgical correspondent, Scrubby Do-Right.
Well, things that immediately jump out at me are, number one, he's wearing his mask below his nose. Number two, his hands are way all over the place. They're way, way, way above his waist. Number three, he needs to tuck his hair into his hat. Number 3.1, clearly, he needs a larger hat. Number 3.2.
Thank you, Scrubbly, but what do you notice about the counting itself? Which recommended techniques does Clancy seem to be ignoring?
Okay, obviously, he's already popped the tapes on the sponges. I mean, everybody knows you can't pop the tapes on the sponges until the circulator is ready to count with you. Everybody knows that. I mean, how's she supposed to know that?
Anything else, Scrubbly?
Of course there is. This counting sequence is riddled with errors. I mean, he's counting way too fast, obviously, and look what he's doing with those sponges. He's not separating them in any way whatsoever. Seriously, you're supposed to separate them. That's the surgery 101. And what's that? What's that? Is he actually using surgical patties as maracas? Really? Seriously, Clancy? A water balloon in the OR? That's so mature.
Well, this concludes this round of Spot the Slip. Let's see how well you did. How many of the following slips did you spot? 1. Count slowly and deliberately so your circulator is able to follow what you are doing. 2. When counting scalpel blades, avoid dancing, juggling, and other wild bodily motions. 3. Until your circulator is able to watch you count, don't break the tapes on the sponges. 4. When counting laps in Raytech, be sure to separate each item clearly, leaving visible space between every sponge. And 5. Whenever possible, try to avoid throwing water balloons in the OR. And now we take you over to Ramon Pierre, here to say a few words on the counting order by location. Ramon?
Thank you, Mr. Narrator. It is here, on the bed, in which we begin. Which is really fitting, no? You see, there are certain items of interest which must be attended to before you can really get into the thick of the action. And once these articles have been thoroughly addressed, we move on, here, to this funny little tale. And strange as it may seem, it is here that the action really heats up. We explore every inch of it with our hands and our eyes and our passionately burning hearts. And once we have gleaned every ounce of pleasure, we move on once more. And we do it at the back table. You see, you cannot move from here to here to here. There's an order in which these things must be done. Do it out of order, and the whole experience is ruined.
Despite his repulsive personal demeanor, Ramon is indeed right in this situation. Counts must be performed starting at the field, then onto the mayo stand, and then on the back table. Deviation from the prescribed order can and does lead to a less than satisfying counting experience. Thank you, Ramon.
You are welcome, Mr. Narrator. Is there any other way in which I can be of further assistance?
That won't be necessary.